What's going on, everybody? It's your man with the plan, ShaneMan20, and on today's video we're going to be talking about none other than the 2017 Honda Civic SI as well as the 2017 Honda Civic Type R. First thing I'm going to let you guys know about, I apologize, I haven't been uploading near as many videos here lately. A lot of things going on at work. Also decided to do a bit of a lifestyle change. I've been starting to work out, which is something I haven't done in years. You know, I stepped on the scale last week and saw a weight that I never wanted to see again and decided I was going to make that change. So for the past 7 days, I've been working out nonstop. Sort of doing just a normal pace. It's not anything ridiculous. Stretching for 5 minutes and then working out for about 30 minutes and then stretching afterwards for about 5 minutes. Just kind of giving myself a break in between each of those to, you know, give myself a little bit more time to not die. So on top of that, that's kind of added more to my plate and made making content for you guys a little bit harder. But I'm committed to making content for you guys, so that's not what we're here to talk about anyways. We're here to talk about none other than the 2017 Honda Civic SI. Now, as you guys will know, not too long ago, the 2017 Honda Civic SI was debuted. It was around, I think, April 6th it was. And that's really kind of late in the game for a car like this. You know, I'm really surprised Honda, you know, didn't put it out any sooner. I guess it's an oddball kind of thing to see, but still, I don't think it's necessarily going to hurt their sales of the SIs, but I do feel like it's kind of late to the game for sure. So maybe they're already starting production and they are working on getting you know, a base of cars together before they start throwing them out there and saying, hey, here's what we got. So I don't know, it's just a giant ballpark guess, but you know, it's really kind of odd that they're throwing this out here that late in the game. But regardless, this car looks pretty freaking good. Now, even to say the very least, the Honda Civic lineup definitely took a huge change from their conservative, I guess contemporary look that they had with the previous models, the 2013s, 14s, and 2015 models, which were not bad models, but they were pretty conservative as far as overall looks, styling, performance. You know, Honda really hadn't looked into doing turbocharging to any of their vehicles, while the rest of the automotive industry in the rest of that class, the compact car class, had already gone turbo. There were still some people that were naturally aspirated with smaller, maybe 1.8 liter inline fours, but Honda sort of stuck their line, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they had 1.4 liters and 1.8 liters, both of which were naturally aspirated in the class, and the only way to get their big stuff, which was a 2-liter inline 4, only came on the Civic SI. Of course, if you went to the Acura brand and you bought the ILX, you could get the 2-liter inline 4 as well. And I believe that one, the only way you could get that one is if you opted for the 6-speed manual, which is, it is what it is. But, you know, again, we're not talking about Acura, we're talking about the Civic. With the debut of the 2016 Civic, which took a drastic change in what anybody saw from Honda at all. You know, it definitely has this really nice, sleek, sexy look to it, has great body lines throughout the car, and you know, I definitely think that when Honda did this, they knew it was going to be controversial, but I don't think they realized how big of an impact that it was really going to make, and yet I think that these cars are actually selling pretty well. And I may be wrong, but you know, even then, I think that they're going for a much younger crowd, number one, and you know, you've got kids like me. I really shouldn't say kids, more so I should say, you know, adults. But adults in my age range, you know, 18 to 34, probably a good number to say, maybe even pushing it to 40 or 45. You know, you've got a pretty decent span of people there. And I think that with that new styling, it definitely helped a lot. But let's try and not get too carried away, because we're already way over in left field right now, and that's my fault. I'm sorry. But you know, we're gonna try and keep on track with the Civic SI in this case. To be honest with you, I don't think that the Civic SI is really that much of a slouch. You know, the new 2017 is, while it's only gonna have a 1.5 liter turbo at 205 horsepower, and I believe it was 192 pound-feet of torque, you know, it's not bad. I definitely think I could agree with everybody else in saying that the power could probably be there more. And I think the weirder thing about it is I think they offer that same engine and a few of their other cars as well, their other Civics, that's to say. And so, you know, why wouldn't Honda take the plunge and maybe doing a little bit bigger engine, maybe a 1.8 liter turbo for the Civic SI, and maybe hopping it up to, you know, I don't know, 230, while trying not to jump subject to the Type R. You know, you're talking about a car there that's going to have 300 horsepower plus, but you could definitely up the horsepower and torque in the Civic Si to something maybe 220 at least, you know. And maybe I'm just being a little bit more aggressive on that front, but I really think that it's something that Honda could definitely do, and I think that they have the power to do it. It's just whether or not they want to step out of their comfort zone to do it. But I think everything else about the Civic Si is actually pretty good, other than one thing which we will get to shortly. But I'm going to go over the good points that I like about the car. To start things off, as you guys already know, like I told you, it will include the 1.5 liter inline-4 turbocharged engine, and that's pretty exciting to know, because like I said, you know, Honda hasn't really done any turbocharged engines, and so this is kind of, as far as production is concerned, you know, this is the first time I've ever really seen a production engine with a turbo on it from Honda, because beforehand they were pretty conservative, staying naturally aspirated with their 1.4 liters, I think, or it may have just been a 1.8 liter across the entire class. And the only way you could get more power is if you opted for the SI, which you got a 2-liter inline-4, bigger displacement, but still naturally aspirated. And, you know, while it is true there is no replacement for displacement, one thing is for sure, if you can put a turbo on it, that would make it that much better. Moving on with some of the other features of the new Civic Si, which will include a limited slip differential and adaptive damper system. Limited slip is obviously, everybody knows what that is. If you don't, YouTube is great for that, and so is Google. But the adaptive damper system controls the suspension action for confidence-inspiring handling and stability. And that is a direct quote from the Civic website, or the Honda website, I should say. And you know, it sounds to me maybe it's a little bit like Magnetic Ride or similar to, and maybe I'm a little bit wrong in that sense, but I don't really know for sure. It's definitely what it sounds to me like. But I will definitely tell you, the other thing is the back side of it looks great. It has a center outlet sport exhaust system, which is, again, I'm quoting from their website, which I think the look for it is definitely interesting, to say the least. It looks sort of like what you would have done if you bought a C7 Corvette, except it's like much narrower. And they're saying that it's basically a much more aggressive look for the car, and is going to give it a distinctive howl, or like a track-inspired howl. That's sort of a direct quote, again, from their website. And of course, you know, with Civic Si, they're going to focus more on aerodynamics, which they include a front splitter and a rear wing, so that's going to help out in the aerodynamics department and help out with downforce of that car. and they're going to include two-tone 18-inch machine finished alloy wheels, which actually, to be honest with you, Civic wheels, or at least Honda wheels here lately for the Civics, any alloy wheels you get with those cars, they're really not that bad. They're actually pretty nice. They've got a really nice design, great look to them. Personally, I think I would have gone with a little bit bigger tire and a little bit bigger wheel, but you know, I guess 18's really not that bad. I would have certainly put 18s on you know, base model Civic just to make it look a little bit nicer and a little more aggressive, because even base model Civics really don't look that bad either. They still have a great look to them, and if I'm not mistaken, you can get the same 1.5 liter turbo with a 6-speed manual and have all the fun in the world. Now granted, it's not a Civic SI, mind you, but it is, and it's going to be down in the horsepower and the torque, but I don't think that it would be very hard to do some tweaking around with some things to get it up to that point. And then as for the interior of the car, it will include a sport mode, which will retune the suspension, throttle, and steering for increased performance. And in all honesty, you know, I really think that manufacturers need to start steering clear of the, you know, no pun intended, they're steering clear of changing the overall feel of the steering, because what you really want out of a performance-oriented car, in all honesty, you really want light steering. And while I know that sounds really strange, you definitely want that lighter steering, because it's going to help you keep control of that car a little bit better. The thing is that a lot of customers associate performance feeling with tight, stiff, and really, my honest opinion, and from what I've heard from a bunch of other people, is that really the steering on most race cars or track-focused cars is actually pretty light. So I really think that most people need to start steering clear of that. Again, no pun intended, but I think that if we get away from that, it might be a little bit better. Maybe I'm wrong, but just an opinion on that one. And of course, an update for the center console. You'll get a 450 watt premium audio system with a display, audio touch screen, and USB ports, which is fantastic. I definitely like being able to use a radio, even though for something like that that's sport oriented. Of course, you know, SI stands for sport injecting, or sport injected, whatever you want to call it. Having a nice stereo system, especially on like long drives, does make things a lot better. And I certainly do like listening to a lot of tunes. And even for this truck, not to get off topic, but it has a great factory audio system, and this isn't even a Bose system. It's actually pretty good straight out of the factory. So, you know, but that's to be seen. I think that that's going to be a great touch to that car, to have a nice audio system that will complement it very well. And finishing up the interior, there will be front sport bucket seats, as well as a leather-wrapped steering wheel. And of course, you can't just top it off with just a regular basic transmission. You got to give it the nice, awesome 6-speed manual transmission. That is the only way to really get a Civic SI. I don't think they even offer it in an automatic. So that's great that, you know, the only thing you really can get is off of an SI is a manual transmission. That's it. You're gonna have to learn the hard way. And you know, that's a great way to keep the stick car alive. While granted, I know most of these automotive manufacturers, especially Honda, has the ability to put a great quick shifting, you know, lightning fast automatic transmission in something like this. I don't think you're going to see that just yet. There's still a lot of enthusiasts that really do enjoy having a manual transmission car. I do enjoy driving a stick whenever I do get the chance, but you know, because my daily driver is an automatic, you know, I kind of have to deal with the simple fact that, hey, you're not doing anything fun here, you're just driving me, that's it. And in most cases, for a daily driver, having an automatic is really nice. Although I still probably would not mind driving a manual transmission on a daily basis. I would definitely do it if I could afford it, but definitely for sure, I think that the new SI is definitely going to sell very well. And it's actually, like I said, it's a really attractive car, but my only real negative about it has to be that front end. And The only thing that's really controversial about it is those front cowls. If you've ever seen these things, they did this same design, I believe, on the 2015 Civic Coupe. It was a redesign, if I'm not mistaken. It was either the 14 or the 15 redesign, and I really didn't like the look. It just looked sort of, it just didn't stand out very well. It was an ugly looking thing on there, my personal opinion, of course. And, you know, it'd be much different if it actually served a purpose of, you know, letting air in for additional cooling of certain components, maybe brakes. I know that'd be a little bit overkill for the brakes, but, you know, if it was much more intended for things like cooling and stuff, I might say differently. But in this case, it looks like they don't serve a purpose. They just are an oversized opening to hold the fog lights in. So Honda, you really need to steer clear of those big cowls. In my opinion, I don't like how that looks. It does look sporty, yes, but I think if you're going to put them there, either make them serve a function other than just taking up space, or don't put them in there at all. You know, I think that the front fascia, or a much sportier looking fascia for that front end, could definitely use some changing. You could probably even use a front end off a base Civic. You know, granted, I know I'm saying base Civic here, but hear me out on that. I think that you could definitely change that look up just a little bit and make it just that much more attractive. So I guess in my opinion, I don't really like those big cowls unless you're going to have them serve a purpose, which I'm sure somebody is going to come up with some way to make that serve a purpose. But that's just my opinion. I think that if we can get away from that, I think the Civic SI will look a lot better in as far as the front fascia is concerned, and sell a little bit better. But everything else about the car, I really do like. I like the overall look. I love the look of the back end. I like how the interior is designed. I like the fact that it's going to have a relatively decent powered motor. You know, I can definitely see a lot of people doing necessary upgrades to make the power better, but you know, it's really tough to say what a lot of people are going to do. That's what I would do in this case. I'd probably opt for a better exhaust, probably look into maybe a cold air intake or something of that flavor. Just doing some basic upgrades to make the power a little bit better while still keeping that initial reliability. Now, I probably would jeopardize my warranty in that case, but you know, you're buying an SI, okay? You're not buying it to enjoy the fact that you have a car with a warranty. You're probably going to take it out and have a lot of fun with it. While yes, it's probably pretty affordable for somebody to just do whatever and keep the warranty, but I guess in my opinion, that's not to say every SI owner is going to do it, but I think that the SI is something that could definitely use much more power. Definitely something in, I guess, the 220s, 230s, and definitely get the torque above 200. And you guys would be sitting pretty in that respect. And now, with no pun intended, let's switch gears over to the 2017 Civic Type R. This is the first time ever that the Civic Type R has ever made a debut or has ever even been in the United States. It's been in Japan and Asia and I believe the European markets for some time now, but this is the first time that it's ever been brought to the US market. And it's really quite exciting because, you know, now you're getting into a day and age where you are seeing a lot of track-focused vehicles, high horsepower, high performance, track-focused vehicles. And I think Civic, or at least Honda anyways, has finally decided now is the time for the Type R to make its debut in the United States. And just to tell you the truth, honestly, the Civic Type R is no slouch in any way, shape, or form. You know, this thing's going to come with a 2-liter VTEC turbocharged engine. This thing is going to be an absolute monster, and I believe it produces 306 horsepower at 295 pound-feet of torque. That thing is absolutely insane. That's a lot of power going to the front wheels, I'll say that much. Granted, I know you can do a lot more with things like a V8 or something of that nature and just do absolutely crazy stuff, but I mean, for Honda in this case to bring something like that to the US market is pretty cool. It's really exciting. And again, you know, carrying over some things from the Civic SI, it's going to have the adaptive damper system, and it's going to have a limited slip differential. And that's also pretty exciting as well. As far as exterior looks, it's going to have a track tested aero kit, which actually looks really good on this car. And you know, of course, it does incorporate those front grills that, you know, like I said, were controversial on the SI. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the ones on here may be actually more form-fitting, or at least serve a function. If not, you know, maybe it's just my different opinion. I think that it works better for the Civic Type R than it does for the SI. Just my opinion in that case. And even coming to the back, yes, you're going to get a pretty big wing, and you're also going to get this center exit triple exhaust tip system, which, you know, that's quoting their website, and it's supposed to give it this nice throaty growl. And I think a lot of people are trying to figure out what that third tip actually is, because, you know, the first two big tips, it's pretty obvious what that is, but everybody's sort of kind of wondering, what is this third tip? What is it there for, and what is it doing? If I had to give my opinion on it, I would say it's probably from the wastegate, but you know, maybe that's a big giant leap to get, you know, that's a big guess, big educated guess to make there. So it's really tough to say what it could very well be, but I guess we won't really know until we actually get our hands on it and check it out. And on top of that, they're also going to include 20-inch black alloy wheels, which look very good on this car. And I honestly want to slap a set of those on just a base model Civic. Here, give me a base model and just throw them wheels on there. Yeah, buddy. I'm sorry. I need to relax. I need to calm down, bring myself back down to earth. And to finish up with the interior, it looks like they're going to include race-inspired lightweight bucket front seats, which it looks to me like they are also going to include grooves for like 4-point or 5-point racing harnesses, and they look pretty aggressive. Like, they have some pretty aggressive side bolstering, and as well as, you know, butt holders, as I would probably like to call them. But it looks to me like the seats are going to have grooves in it for you to put race harnesses in, which, if you're going to put race harnesses in a Civic Type R, you might as well go all out, go JDM, and go get yourself a set of Takata 4-point racing harness for that car. You know, you can't just go and just get a basic generic one. You got to go all out and go JDM and go get Takata racing harnesses. That's the only way this is going to work. But, you know, I mean, granted, it does look really good in there, and the colors and the side bolster and the, you know, like the butt huggers, as I would like to call them, definitely look really good. And I think I'm the biggest worry that I'm going to have with that car is the seating going to be comfortable? You know, I think that's going to be a big thing, because people are going to want to drive those cars. And at the same time, you know, you may not see it out on the road all the time. It's not going to be something that you just go out and daily drive, because, you know, that's a $40,000 car at least, if I'm not mistaken, which I think that's what they were marketing this car for, maybe $37,000 to $40,000, maybe a little bit more. But, you know, that's a lot of money to just sink into a car and then drive it on a daily. I don't think so. I don't think I would do that. So that's just one thing that I am really curious about. Are the seats going to be really comfortable, as they do still tend to say that they are going to be comfortable? So I guess we'll know once we get our hands on it and have a chance to check it out. On top of that, you're also going to have a Plus R driving mode, which is one of 3 customized drive modes that automatically retunes the suspension, the throttle, and the steering for maximum performance. Again, quoting their website. And like I said with the SI, and I'm going to say it again here with the Type R, you know, you're really going to want that light steering. And you're probably not going to get a light steering feel out of a front wheel drive car. But I mean, still, the lighter you can get it, the better off you are as far as cornering abilities. You don't want it too light where you have a lot of oversteer, but you still want to be able to have a nice light steering, so that way you're not working for it. You know, that's one big thing I could definitely say at the very least. And one of the last things that I actually really like about this car is a customizable digital meter display, which is able to show you things like boost, G-forces, track times. And, you know, I think the next step for the Type R would probably be something similar to, I don't know, maybe PDR from Chevy. I mean, I'm not saying they necessarily need to go quite that route, but I think if there's a lot of people that would seriously look into tracking this car, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to offer similar things of that nature. But, you know, it's just kind of a straight off the wall guess. It is really nice, and in all honesty, the look of this car is fantastic, and I think it's going to sell quite well here in the United States. I think they're making the right move to bring this car over from, you know, Europe, Asia, and Japan. I think they're making the right move by bringing it here to the States, and I believe they're going to sell some in Canada, maybe Mexico. But, you know, it's really a great decision that they've made to bring this car here. And, you know, again, with the Civic SI, it's a great car as always. It's going to sell. You don't have any problems with that. So, I guess to wrap up my feelings on both the Civic SI and the Civic Type R, with the Civic SI, like I said, it's going to sell. And I think it's a great looking car. It's great for the money. Certainly could be more power that you could add to that. And I could see a lot of people going on ahead and buying those cars and doing more upgrades to them to get them up in the power range. But I wouldn't necessarily go all out and do, you know, get it close to Type R area. But, you know, maybe if you really want to push that envelope, you can certainly do that. There's nobody stopping you. But case in point, with the Civic Type R, I think a lot of people are going to do the same thing, probably buy those cars and hop them up even more to a much more performance-oriented standard. So you're probably going to see like things like bigger turbos, a header, custom exhaust. You're gonna see a lot of things come out of those cars. So with that said, I think that wraps up all my thoughts and impressions, and that wraps up this video, guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the content. Again, you know, I'm sorry I haven't been able to post a whole lot of videos here lately. It's just been really difficult. You know, I think this car is going to perform very well. I think that the Civic Si is going to perform very well. And I actually think that the Civic Type R is going to perform very well. So, you know, with all that said, guys, that pretty much wraps up this video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If this is your first time stopping into the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And also, do not forget about that notification bell next to the subscribe button. Hit that so you are always notified of when I post new videos, because nobody likes being left out in the dark. I don't like being left out in the dark, guys. It sucks. So, but with all that said, hopefully you guys have a fantastic day. Take care. Have a great day.